Hi guys, how are you doing? So I thought I would do my first live video. I came across something super interesting yesterday. I was in looking at some racehorses, and they were talking to me about tongue tying. So what they do is they get either like a band or a pair of tights, tie it round their tongue, and then tie the tongue onto the bottom jaw, pulling the tongue out the side, I believe. So I was looking at a horse that had been tongue-tied a lot during its career. It also had to have a 3-in-1 operation for its wind. And when I was looking at this horse, what I was finding was loads and loads, surprisingly enough, tongue dysfunctions. I don't know if you guys know, but we have 23 different muscles in our tongue. The tongue has also got a relationship with our organs, our emotions, any chemicals. So, for example, chemicals on the thigh, and also with the parietal motor cortex. The tongue also, it's related to several cranial nerves. We've got the trigeminal nerve, the facial nerve, the glossopharyngeal nerve, the vagus nerve, which controls just one muscle, which is the palatoglossus muscle, and the last cranial nerve that's involved is the hypoglossal nerve, which controls all the other muscles of the tongue. So I'm looking at this tongue tie, and all I can see is that the reason that people do it is because the horse can flip its tongue back. It can try and get its tongue over the bit, or it can block the airway with the tongue. And my thoughts initially go straight away to tongue dysfunctions. Is it a tongue dysfunction that is making the horse flip its tongue back to start off with? And would treating that tongue dysfunction in turn mean that they don't need the tongue tie because they have full control of their tongue again? It's questions. So the tongue is related to lots and lots of organs, all the way from the underside of the tongue, which is related to the heart, all the way back across your tongue. And when I look at where they put the tongue tie, which is like at the as far back as they can go at the base of the tongue, the organs, that I see that would then be being affected from this tie would be the stomach, the pancreas, the liver, and the esophagus, which funnily enough then ties into the wind problems. So is there also a dysfunction in the esophagus, or with the esophagus as an organ? Because we can also treat that. We can see if removing the dysfunction in the esophagus and removing the dysfunction even in maybe there's a dysfunction in the stomach, the pancreas, or the liver that's causing the tongue to have a dysfunction. It's a big complicated web. But to me, tying the tongue, there has to be other options. I certainly know I used to have my tongue pierced, and when I was doing my p-dtr advanced modules, what we found out was my tongue piercing was I didn't have the tongue piercing in anymore, and hadn't had it in since, the early 2000s, maybe like 10-15 years since I've had my tongue piercing in. Yet, the hole was still having a knock-on effect on my jaw muscles, on my neck muscles, and on my shoulder muscles. So what effect is tying the tongue having on the other muscles? And how can we improve the horse's performance by treating the dysfunctions in these areas rather than tying the tongue? Because all you guys with your racehorses, I know that you want to win, that's the aim. And if we can improve the performance, they are going to do better. The horses are going to run better. And if we tie the tongue and it's inhibiting some muscles, it's surely going to be impacting the performance that these horses can do. The other thing that I found with the tongue dysfunctions was also that this horse had a lot of hyoid dysfunctions. Every time he moved his tongue, his body was going hypertonic. Hypertonic is when a muscle stays tense and it never relaxes. And the opposite, the other kind of dysfunctional muscle that we get is a weak muscle, and that is a weak muscle. It never contracts, it's only ever relaxed. When I treated these tongue dysfunctions and the hyoid dysfunction, it restored the neck function of all the different muscles in the neck. We got the neck all looking really good. We got it functioning much better, and I feel I've not seen the horse being ridden. I'm going to go back and chat to them in a couple of days. I feel that when the horse is now ridden, it should be less fussy in the mouth. It should try not to flip its tongue over the bit. It should be not pulling as much. It should be easier to ride and easier to deal with, easier to stop. And so yeah, it's just made me think lots and lots. Why are the tongues not in the right place? Again, it can only be because of dysfunction. When I was working through this horse, when I got the girl I was working through, when she stuck her tongue out, the horse went hypertonic. When she pulled her tongue back and curled it right the way back to her mouth, the horse went hypertonic. When she put her tongue to the roof of the mouth, the horse went hypertonic. When she moved her tongue either side, the horse went hypertonic. So I understand that maybe tying the tongue is putting it in one place, but surely if the horse can move its tongue around freely with no dysfunction, it should be a lot more comfortable. My other questions were, so like the hyoid and the tongue are in a relationship together. Half of the muscles of the tongue are in the tongue and the other half of the muscles are in the hyoid. And when one half of this relationship's not working properly, it compensates by using the other half. So when this tongue's hypertonic, it's going to use the hyoid to compensate for it. And the same with the hyoid problems, it's going to use the tongue to compensate. So if you've got a hyoid problem with your racehorse and you tie the tongue out the side of the mouth, the horse then, it would naturally want to use the tongue to compensate for the problems in the hyoid. But by tying it, you're debilitating it and not allowing it to use its tongue. And this can only have a negative effect on the horse's performance. I've had a lot of thought about it. I've been thinking about it off and on all night. It's just been playing on my mind that I'm so excited. I really think that it could be a much better option for racehorses, and for all horses. Like, I know we have all the racehorses just now that are racing, but then these racehorses stop racing, and they go to ex-racehorse homes where people take them and show and event and show jump, and it would also make all you guys with ex-racehorses' lives so much easier. The ones that are really fussy in the mouth, the ones that just won't take a contact. I'm sure it's because of neurological dysfunctions in around the tongue, the teeth, the hyoid. It's such a complicated area and there's just so much in there. But with p-dtr, I can go through and assess how each bit works, the impact that it's having throughout the rest of the body. And then we can see just how the horse goes afterwards, the difference. Whether it's better with the tongue tied, whether it's better with tongue treated. I don't know, it's very exciting. So I don't know if any of you have racehorses or ex-racehorses that are having issues with the tongue, the teeth, the mouth. Please get in touch. I'm just so excited to share all this. It's amazing. I'm really looking forward to trying to improve all your lives and make your lives easier and stress-free for both you and your horse. So yeah, give me a shout. It was really nice talking to you all. I hope you don't mind the mess of just coming from playing with more ponies. And I'm off back out this afternoon to go and look at some more. So I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day, and I hope to hear from you